Welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Lives, one of my Activating Abundance episodes. And I, first of all, have to apologize because I totally missed publishing an episode on Friday. However, I have a good excuse because I flew back from Greece on Thursday and I was literally exhausted. I traveled for 2 days. I was stayed in an island, a very remote island, the furthest eastmost island of the Grecian islands. And it was a 9-hour ferry ride from the island to Greece or to Athens. So it was a 2-day travel adventure. So from the ferry and then a bus through really rush hour Athens traffic, which took over an hour to get to the airport. Then I stayed the night in Athens and then flew out the next day. So got up at 5 a.m., went to the airport, huge line. And I was like so worried about being able to make my flight. But fortunately, they pulled out more agents and were able to get us through. And then no travel issues. I couldn't believe it. Had 2 different connections, 3 different flights, and smooth sailing the whole way. So got from Athens, then went through London, and then went to Charlotte, North Carolina, and finally home to Charlottesville. So I got home about 7:30 at night. But if you add the hours, so there was a 6-hour time difference. So it was like after midnight per my biological clock. So I woke up Friday and I was like, halfway through the day, I was like, oh my God, I got to do a podcast episode. And then something happened. I just forgot and got sidetracked doing other things. And then yesterday was my husband's birthday celebration. So I'm recording this the morning. I'm going to publish it as soon as I'm done because I have another episode coming out tomorrow. Mondays are my interview episodes, but I did want to get this out there because it's my commitment to continue to do weekly Activating Abundance episodes. And so a little late, I apologize, but I had an amazing time in Greece and it was well worth it. So the delay was worth it to me. And you get 2 in 2 days in a row if you're a regular listener. All right. So today I want to do an episode about my Greece trip, but I'm not ready to do that yet because I don't want to rush that episode. And it might even be a 2-parter depending on how long it becomes. But it was an amazing adventure. And as I like to say, an abundant adventure because it's full of abundance. And so I'll do that in my next episode. And today I thought today would be a good day to focus on what I'm doing on Tuesday night because it's very timely and it's very abundant filled because it's a free training. And so I think it's going to bring some abundance to those who attend. And so if you haven't heard about it, I've posted just a little bit on social media, but not a lot since I've been on my trip. But it's I'm going to be doing a training on Sparketypes, and Sparketypes it's like a little personality assessment, but it's crazy helpful about what you feel joy doing. And I found out about it and I've spoken about it before. In fact, I would look back and as early as episode 21, very early in my podcasting journey. So it was April 2020. So kind of right when let's see, that's a year and a half ago, kind of mid-pandemic. We'd been in the pandemic a month into it. And I talked about it then. And it's something that I teach in my Second Half S.P.A.R.K school. It's I have my students go through there's 3 different kind of personality assessments that they go through. And the Sparketypes is different because it's not about really what kind of whether you're outgoing or whether you're not outgoing. It's about the work that you're meant to do, the work that's been inside of you since the day you were born. It's actually the work you came here to do. So, and the creator, Jonathan Fields, I first heard about this on a podcast, and I was so compelled by this. And everybody likes to find out more about themselves. That's why personality tests are so intriguing, right? But I was in a transitional period and I was getting ready to start creating this program that is now my signature program called the Second Half S.P.A.R.K School. But back then I didn't even know what it was. I just knew that I had a desire to do something different than what I was doing and that I had been doing for 35 plus years. And that I just didn't have any joy in my work. I had no, like, I dreaded going to work. And so nobody wants to live their life like that, right? So it was just like in such a quandary and such a place in life where, like, I just don't feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. But then how do you detach from that which you've done your whole life? How do you even figure that out? What's the first step? And I feel like when I found out about the Sparketype assessment, it like validated everything for me. It validated the fact that I was doing the wrong thing, and it validated that what I was questing to do at the time, I had just signed up, or maybe it was before I signed up for my business coach, but I just was in that journey of searching and knowing that I needed something different. And this was really the first step in that light bulb moment that went on. It was like, yes, this is what I am supposed to do. And it gave me faith, and belief that I could do it. And so sometimes that validation is what you need, because there's so much doubt, just our logic brain is like, oh my God, you're crazy. Well, what the hell are you doing? You're making this comfortable salary and you can do all the things. And what are you going to do? Risk it all. And so that's what your logic brain does. Your human brain, but your heart is like, no, I don't like it. I want to do something different. So where do you begin to do that? And so for me, Sparketypes was like the very beginning of the journey. So that's why when it helped me so much, I said, well, whatever it is I'm going to do. And what I wanted to do was to help people have the rest of their life be the best of their life. And so because I went on that journey myself, I thought, well, I can help people with that because I figured it out. So let me guide them through that. And then that's when I went on to get, certified as a coach and to learn how to, build an online business. And so I thought, what can I do now? Because it's the fall and people get busy in the fall. And in fact, I was going to actually do a launch of my Second Half S.P.A.R.K school in the fall, but I got a little sidetracked because I built a new program for business owners. Because what happens with my program is a lot of people, they begin because they're just feeling passionless and they want more passion in their life. They want to figure out, why is this void in my life? My kids are gone. With a lot of people, it's like, my kids were my everything. I built my life around my kids, whether you had a job or not. And then they're gone one day and you're like, what the F, I thought they were my life and now they don't need me anymore. So they get families of their own, and then you're like, okay, the nest is empty. So how do I fill up my time? How do I find meaning in my life again? And so what happens a lot of times is people come into my program and then they realize that they want to build a business. They want to do something different. Some are retired and it's something they want to start. Some are still working and it's something they do on the side, which is how I started. And so I wanted to help those people in a deeper way. And so I created this Second Half CEO school, Second Half CEO school. And so that's where I've been kind of focusing. So the Second Half S.P.A.R.K school took a back seat this fall. And so that's going to be, enrollment's going to open January 31st for that again. But until then, I thought, well, what can I do to help people at this time of year, help people really take that first step in that journey of something different. I need something different in my life. I want to do something more meaningful. I want to have more purpose in my life. So what is it? Where do I begin? And I think the first step is the Sparketype assessment, because you'll learn a lot. It will either surprise you or it will validate something you already know inside of you. And so for those, either reason is a great one to do it. So that's really why I decided to do this new free training. I had done something similar to this, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper, and I'm going to offer our workbook to people come into the training. You have to attend or watch the replay to get the workbook, though. You can't just like sign up and then not show up or watch it. Anyways, the workbook won't make sense if you don't watch it. You got to watch it to understand how to use the workbook. So anyways, so I'm very excited about it. And so and I'm also going to offer, because my second half Spark School is a journey. I mean, it's a commitment of time, and we have weekly calls. So this is, I'm going to do the workshop, which is going to be highly valuable. So you can walk away having like an amazing aha or two or three, and really start to work on, the next steps. But I'm also going to offer an opportunity to work with me for like 3 weeks in an intensive, what I'm calling a boot camp. So I'm very excited about that, because it's something that I can do before we get into the holidays, and that I think it's going to be really useful for people going into 2022. Can you believe 2022 already? So it's going to be going into the new year armed with this data and this information that can really help you have an incredible best year of your life. It really can help you do that. And who doesn't want the best year of their life, at this stage in life? And I know it's totally possible, because my years just keep getting better and better, and I feel like so lucky. But it's only because that I decided I wasn't going to settle for the life I was living, and that I wanted to figure it out. And so that's what I want for you: a better next year every year. So yeah, just a little bit about Sparketypes, and I'm going to keep this short. If you want to really do the work with me, join my training. It's coming up on a Tuesday night, and it's if you're busy Tuesday night, still sign up, because you'll get the emails with the replay link. But it's notyouraverage-grandma.com/spark, and that's how you sign up for it. But there are 10 types. You are one of 10 types. And then you'll find out you have a primary, and you have a secondary, and you have an anti-Spark type. And when I first took the test, which I guess is now 2.5 years ago, they didn't have an anti. And the anti is really informative as well, because the primary is basically the work that you're meant to do. It's the work that lights you up like nothing else. It's the work that you feel this sense of joy, and you like lose yourself when you're doing it. And a lot of us don't know what the hell that is, and I didn't. And you can also you can have a job where that work is available, but it's in a different, y'all go over how flexible the Sparketypes are. Like, you could be actually find the work of your Sparketype in your existing job. It's just a matter of being aware of what it is, and kind of tweaking what your job responsibilities are to allow more of that work. So it's not like, okay, you're going to get this information, you're going to have to completely change everything in your life. But it just helps. It will help you, inform you of how to really be more joyful in your day to day, whether it's like a hobby activity, whether it's a side activity that you do, more hobby focused, or whether it's actually work, and that you can transition into either your current role doing more of that, or change jobs and do it in a different job. So, but it's so informative, and it will make you just happier knowing that's within you. And so the secondary Sparketype is really something, it's usually work that you're gifted at, comes easy to you. And a lot of times people mistake that for what they're meant to do. And it's not necessarily what they're meant to do. It doesn't necessarily light them up, but it supports the work of your Sparketype. So, and then there's the anti, and the anti is work that drains you. Like, when you're doing that work, it like takes every bit of energy, and it's like you avoid it and probably procrastinate it as well, but it does not make you happy. And if you're doing that kind of work in your current job, that is why you're not feeling it. And so that was really interesting to me as well, because when I retook the test, and of course my primary and my secondary turned out the same, my anti was really helpful to know and understand. And it was like, of course, that's why I don't like to do puzzles. I'm not a really, problem solving is not like the big thing that I like to do. It's like, ugh. So, but yeah, it's a part of who you are at the core. It's genetically in you. The work that you love to do, you basically were anointed with this and sent here, and that's the work you're supposed to do. And I truly believe that. And knowing what I know I have had this my whole life. And so it's you came here, and that's what and you're supposed to discover it. So if you haven't discovered it, that's like your first responsibility to the world, to have been created and brought here. You need to know what your gifts are, because when you come from a place of being truly lit up, that is in itself a gift to the world, right? It's not necessarily how many you serve or who you serve, it's how you serve in this lit up way. And when you come from a place of loving what you do, it changes everything around you. And I always say the people you love and the people you haven't even met yet. So yeah, and if we're doing the work that drains us, we're sucking the energy, the good energy, from other people out of the universe, because when people are not happy and joyful, then it's a drag. It's a drag to be around those people. And so find what lights you up, and the light, spreads. And that's the best way I can explain it, is like, you have this light and more people come to the light. So yeah, so my personal experience with Sparketypes, and just to touch on this briefly, because I think it helps to have like a real example, is that my two types, I'm not going to go into all the 10. You can come to the training to find out what the 10 are. But I am an advisor. I found out I'm an advisor. Sparketype is my primary, and my secondary is Sage. And what's so interesting is that advisor is basically somebody who coaches, mentors, therapist, those the kind of people that really want to guide people for them to have like transformational moments, aha moments, to our what brings us joy is seeing the light bulb come on the people we help. And so when I first found that out, I was like, that is so true. I remember back in college when one of my college roommates was really frustrated in her major, and she was trying to do business stuff, classes and courses, and it wasn't exciting her. And I only just wish I could have done this for myself, but for her, I remembered like, and I was in the education realm, and I remembered I had this fashion merch, and she was all about fashion. She would always go out and, find the sales and get the cute, put the cute outfits together. And I always remember this teacher I had in high school, and she was the most amazing teacher. She was a fashion merchandising teacher. So there was this teaching job, which was called distributive education. And so you could, be a teacher, but you could teach something like fashion merchandising or something fun, like home economics might fall in that realm. But anyways, so I said, you should check into this to see if it's something you'd like to do. And what's interesting is it's not so much the major you are or get. A lot of people like know and love, like, oh, I love biology. I love like dissecting frogs. So I know what I'm going to do. But especially at my age, and this might be you too, is like, we didn't have a lot of like internships. We didn't have a lot of on the job experiences that helped us see what the career that we wanted would be, that we liked. And so it was kind of like a shot in the dark. Oh, maybe I like I don't know. But you really didn't know until you graduated from college and you got out. And so my advice to my kids was just get the degree, and then you can figure it out. You can like go get an advanced degree, or you can get a job. I ended up quitting school because I hated my classes so much. I didn't find that good fit for me. What if I had Sparketypes back then? I would have become a therapist. I'm sure I would have taken those courses, because those are the courses that were intriguing to me. But I didn't have an example, a role model of somebody that had done that, or an experience of having done it and known if I'd like it or not liked it. And so I quit college and I became a waitress. So that's what I was doing. I was waiting tables. And it wasn't until a recruiter came in and was one of my customers as a waitress. And he said, oh, come in, I'll like get you a job. And I ended up going in, getting a job as a receptionist at a consulting firm down in Washington, DC. And that like was a stepping stone to the next thing, to the next thing. And that's how I found my career. And so for her, she figured out, my roommate, that, oh, this is something that I could really do and I could really like, and I could graduate. So she switched her major to education. She became, and she majored in, I think, distributed ed or whatever the major was. And it made college more fun for her. It made it easier for her, and she was able to graduate. And then she was the president of the sorority, and she ended up getting a gig at another in another state, getting her master's degree. So the sorority actually hired her to go to help a sorority house that was kind of, I think, in trouble. I don't know what the exact details are, but she went from Virginia to Florida, and she ended up at UCF and got not only her master's, she got room and board, she got her education paid for, and she ended up in a career in advertising, which, you never know what you're going to do next. But what I loved, and what my point is here, is that I was an advisor. I was advising her back then, and the fact that it lit her up, and the fact that she changed everything and went in that direction and became very, very successful in life, made me feel so good. So when you find out what your spark type is, and part of the process that I take people through is looking in your past to see where are the connections with that. Like, what were the jobs you did? What were the tasks in the job you did? And how did they make you feel? So it's this kind of discovery process once you find out what your Sparketypes are. And then the sage is this teaching aspect. Is it like a teacher in you? You like to, uh, create material, things you learn. Could be somebody who loves to learn and then shares that knowledge. And I love to learn and share knowledge. That's as a coach, that's what I continue to do. I continue to get more training. I continue to like read books that like really inspire me. And then I incorporate that into my school to help people at a deeper level. And I feel if it helps me as a 62-year-old, it's going to help somebody else who's similar in age to me. And in that personal growth, like desirous of like continuing to grow personally and develop yourself and be better for it. So this whole sage aspect. And what's interesting is my parents were teachers. My sister was a teacher, just retired. And so I always thought I should be a teacher. And then I had an opportunity to be a substitute for an extended period of time of seventh graders. And this is where it's like that aspect of teaching I did not like. I did not like teaching middle school children. I was like, I never want to be a teacher. So then that taught me I don't like teaching, period. I don't ever want to be a teacher. But it's very interesting that later in life, I became a trainer, a corporate trainer, and I loved teaching adults. I love putting together training materials and teaching adults. I just didn't like teaching children. So there's many aspects of teaching or being a teacher that, if you just tweak, see how, there's say a lot of people will be a sage, but what lights you up is really, who you're teaching, where, what does that look like? What are you teaching? It could be a variety of things. All this stuff has been so incredible for me to like dig back on my past and see, oh, that makes total sense now. So it further informed me and just validated that what I'm doing is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And I finally friggin' figured it out, because I didn't figure this shit out until like, like I said, Sparketypes I found like 2.5 years ago. And then it was still a journey to kind of like break it down, try out new things that I was doing. Did they light me up? Like right now, I could do what I do all day, every day. I just sometimes get really frustrated that I have to sleep at night because I would like to stay up all night and do what I do. And that's when you know that what you're doing is coming from a real place of a deep sense of joy. And I want that for everybody. So the other thing too that I'm really excited about is that Jonathan Fields, who's the creator of this, has just created a certification program. So I am going through his first certification process in early December. So I'm really excited that I will have even more exposure and teachings from him personally. So I'm very excited to get through that and to be an official Sparketype advisor, I think is what you're called when you get certified in that. So if anybody who is listening to this is actually a coach and likes to help people in the way I help people, then you should sign up for his certification. Google him and go to his website, and I'm sure it's very obvious there. But he has one in December, and he has one, I think, in the spring sometime. He's going to do a second one. So that's kind of it. I just really wanted to, number one, get back into the swing of things, because, I've been doing these podcast episodes twice a week, and I was in Greece between, adding in the travel time, 9 days. I was kind of out of the office, and it's the longest trip I've taken since the pandemic has started. And I was pretty much enjoying my experience. And so now I got to get back into the swing of things. And I had committed to do this training. It's kind of webinar style. I think we started planning it 6 or 8 weeks ago, my team. And so it's finally here almost on Tuesday. So I got some prepping to do, but I would love for you to join me and let's talk about what lights you up, and figure out how that you can use that going forward in either the work you're doing, or new hobby, or new work, a change of work. Or, some people retire and they think it's going to be all this, and then they get there, and it's like, I think my business coach said this: you can only lie on the beach doing nothing for so long. And then, we just are, that's not like, we're not designed to just like do nothing. We're designed to contribute in some way to the world. And everybody is unique, and everybody has a different way that they can contribute that lights them up. So I would love to help you find that. So join my training, notyouraveragegrandma.com/spark. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning into the Not Your Average Lives podcast. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe on iTunes if you have an Apple device. You can find free resources and learn what else I have going on at the moment that might interest you on my website at notyouraveragegrandma.com. You can also find me on Instagram or Facebook at Not Your Average Grandma. If you liked this episode, it would make my heart so happy if you could leave me a 5-star rating. You can also add a review to let me know what you like about this podcast, which will help spread the word about it to others who need a little midlife inspiration. As always, be you, listen to your inner voice, and focus on reigniting that lost spark so you can start living your own Not Your Average life.